Hello, my friends. Well, I want to talk a little bit about how I became an author, how sex got involved in my stories, what I really like, what drives me to write, and what is mirrored in my stories, you know. It started when I was a teenager. I was writing poetry, I was writing diary, like so many of us that write, you know, that become writers. They do that. They, including me. So that's how it started. And then little stories came into play, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of that just really mirrors what I really like and what really fascinates me. It started with vampires. I love vampires. I love Dracula. He was my hero. Still is. Who has Dracula as a hero? But you know, I do. I traveled to Romania with my best friend just to look at his castle, and that was a really exciting adventure. I mean, I have to tell you about this someday, but it was really great. We traveled by train, and we drove through Brasov. That's a city there, with a car that didn't have a passenger seat, did have no seat belts, and a Romanian driver who was completely crazy. I mean, he drove at a speed that was so dangerous, and none of us, you know, we were screaming in the back, and he laughed. He thought it was funny, and we were scared. But it was a really great travel. I really got so much out of it for writing, you know, for my stories, and for my fascination for vampires, and that just with time evolved into every other strange being, and I invented some, and for me, they're very sexual beings. Vampires are young, they're beautiful, they, you know, they have a lot of sexual aura about them, I think. Very romantic beings, and I just love them. I think there's nothing greater to write about than a vampire. Even though I write about every being there is, even though I have to, you know, in my Timeless trilogy, I write about fallen angels, and they have a different way of having sex, and werewolves in my new book have a different way of having sex. They're much more animalistic. I think it's a lot of fun to experience that in your head, and to just really go to those kind of places. When I wrote my first sexual scene, my head was getting so red. I was alone in the room, and I was embarrassed. I mean, really embarrassed. I don't even know why, but it was just so uncommon for me to do that. I was twice raped, and I always had problems with sexuality, and I think that really helped me when I write about it, to deal with that, to get more, you know, acquainted with this, that it becomes more normal for me. I think if I wouldn't have started writing about it, I think my private life would not be as interesting, and my sexual life would not be as much fun as it is today. I think that makes a big difference. And then, of course, what plays into all my stories is my fascination for death. It wasn't like that in the beginning. When I was in school, I had a schoolmate sitting in front of me, and he told me always that, you know, he made practicums well, he was like in a mortuary, and worked there sometimes, and he told me horrible stories, like they took a body from Switzerland to Germany, and it was summer, and it was like really hot, and the body was green because it was so long dead, and the entire car smelled, and I started, you know, I thought, if you don't stop, I'm going to vomit. I mean, that's just horrible. But today that fascinates me, really. I have to admit that. I found a YouTube channel. It's called Ask a Mortician, and that's a really fun channel. I can just really tell everybody to watch it, to look at it, to watch those videos. They're so much fun and so interesting. The mortician, it's a lady, and she tells really great and interesting stories, and broadens my mind really about death, and takes the edge out of it, you know. It becomes less scary. And I think that's what my stories do for me too. I deal with my fear of death. I lost so many people. And I'm so glad that I can deal with it in this way. That I can just take the edge out of it by writing about it. Because in my stories, you know, those beings, they live forever. You know, they're forever young and beautiful, and they're never sick. And, you know, and I think my readers like that too. That's what fantasy is. And I love forbidden loves. I love forbidden loves. Can you believe that? But I do. I think they're very interesting to write about. It's, you know, love between brother and sister or cousins. I mean, Romeo and Juliet were related. I think that's just very interesting for a writer to make those stories believable, to show how that can happen, and how hard it is on those characters to deal with it. And that's very interesting. In my Pearl Magic trilogy, I write about that, and there will be more trilogies that conquer this subject. I mean, it's really interesting, it's really touching, it's really tragic, and I'm glad it never happened to me in real life. I'm really glad. I would kill myself probably, I don't know. But it's really hard on those characters, and it's fun to write about because it's a challenge. And for the readers, you know, that love my stories, I think it's a little adventure out of reality. If they read my fantasy stories, they just can escape their reality. They can have experiences they never could have in real life. And I think that's what makes it interesting to them, and that's what really draws them to those kind of stories. They don't have to be real. They shouldn't be. They should be much more than reality, and they are. That's why I love to invent those kind of worlds and strange beings, and have my readers enjoy adventures that are impossible in reality. Unfortunately, I wish they would be possible, but well, you can't have everything, can you now? So yeah, I think that's my drive to write. That's why I write. That's how I write. And that's how I continue to do my work. And I hope I will enjoy it as much as I always have for the rest of my life, so I can take other people with me into my fantasy worlds, so that they can have fun with my stories and what I dream about. Yeah, that's about it. Visit me again, subscribe to my channel, and have fun with my videos. See you later.